many ways to sit, right? You can sit one leg in front of the other. You can sit half lotus. You can sit quarter lotus. You can sit on a chair, and so on and so forth. So today, and then your hands, right? You can put like this. You can put on the knees. You can put whatever way, right? So for today, we do a bit interesting practice. Okay, whatever you do in your usual way, you reverse it. You always put the left leg in front, put the right leg in front today. If you always put the hand on the knee, put it in front of you today. Do something different. Okay? Okay, ready? So sit in a way that is comfortable but not not tense. And then try that different posture today, whatever it is. Okay, try something different today. All right, you can keep your eyes open or closed. Actually, this one also you can change about. If always you keep your eyes closed, today you open. Try. If always you open your eyes, you keep it closed. Okay, so we try something different today. Okay. Okay, so and then once you settle into your today's posture, right, you just relax a bit. And then we pay attention to what is your posture today. How you feeling in the body? What is the sensation you can feel? How the position in the body is different today? Just for a few moments, just pay attention to that. And then also when we practice sitting meditation like this, it's also good to be paying attention to what is happening in your mind. As in, like, what are you thinking about at this moment when you're sitting like this? All right, so pay attention to the body in this way, and this body in this way is a little bit different from what you usually sit. Okay, but just pay attention to that. Now, after you have paying attention to the body in this way today, now see where in the body there's breathing, right? Like some people experience breathing in the nostrils, under the nose. Some people feel the breathing in the chest. Some people feel breathing in the abdomen, the rising or the falling, in and out breath, whatever it is. So feel the breathing in your body wherever it is, as is your usual practice. Or you can even choose somewhere else today, just for practice today. So if you usually use the breath under the nose, today maybe try the abdomen. If you usually use the abdomen for rising and falling, today try maybe the chest. And if you settle on where you are placing your focus, then continue to pay attention to the breathing in that place. Noticing the movements in the body, maybe, sensations, whatever is present. As is usual with this practice, if the mind wanders away, simply pay attention to it and then bring it back to the breathing, whatever that means to you. So noticing the breathing and intending, that means purposely wanting to pay attention to the breathing in whatever way it is appearing to you. Be it a long breath, a short breath, harsh or soft, cool, warm, whatever it is, just simply observing the breathing. Just simply observing the breathing. as thoughts arise, or if there are distractions, simply noticing the mind has wandered and that you are hearing a sound or you are thinking some thoughts, and then just gently bring back the focus to the breathing. And just simply paying attention to the breathing. Letting it be whatever it is. So also maybe just for a few moments, noticing what's going on in your mind. Do you feel like comfortable, uncomfortable? Just like what's going on, right? Apart from the breathing, what's going on? Just noticing that. Noticing your response or your reactions to what is going on. So just continuing to pay attention to the breathing, or if there is a response or there are some thoughts, it's okay also to see what's going on over there. Just for a few more moments, just relaxing, paying attention, and that's all there is to it. Whatever is happening, just paying attention to whatever is happening. Breathing, responses, thoughts, whatever happens, just paying attention. And now coming back to the body, just feeling the body again, noticing the posture that you have taken, noticing the posture, and from where we are, being quite still, now just wiggling your fingers, moving a little bit, wiggling your toes, and just coming out of the practice, out of this short practice, just moving a bit, just do some stretching, up in your arms. Oh, that feels good. Shoulders, turn around, and open your eyes if gently, if you've been closing the eyes, and we come to the end of a short practice. So good morning. Good morning again. Good morning again. So it's quite a lot of energy for a Sunday morning and after a practice actually. Okay, so good morning, and my name is Dr. Choo. Brother Choo today. And so the talk today is practicing mindfulness during my own illness, which is quite important. So I bracketed my own because what came up in the publicity is practicing mindfulness during illness. So why is my own very important and why is it bracketed? It's because it's like that. As a doctor, right? So I give you a bit of background what I do. So Hui Kim has mentioned I do see patients in the home, right? So patients at home, they're usually quite elderly, they're quite sick, and that's why you got to go to them. They can't come to you, you got to go to them, right? And so these patients are elderly, they've got stroke, Parkinson's, whatever you name it, right? So quite disabled at home. And so when you see them, right, you realize that, okay, actually, yeah, you say quite suffering, right? Quite difficult for these patients because need a lot of care. You see they can't help themselves and so on. But nothing really strikes you as much as if it really happens to you, right? So that's why my own illness is important. So of course, my own illness can't be all that bad because I've recovered from it, right? And I have to say this because in no way are my experiences something so important that I downplay other people. It's not, right? It's because I realize now how much more my patients are suffering. Okay, so my own illness, I will tell you later on. So this is my background, all right. And the next thing I want to talk about briefly is about the practice of mindfulness. So broadly speaking, mindfulness, there's sitting practice or formal practice like we do now, and there are many types, right? You can use breath, you can use kasinas, and so on and so forth, right? So sitting practice, building concentration, vipassana and all that, right? Okay. Then there is commonly also walking practice, right? Walking meditation practice, right? And then there is also practice of daily activities. So when someone goes on retreat, then they practice all these three things very intensively. So I want to focus on the practice of daily activities, right? Daily activities. Can someone give an example of how you practice mindfulness during daily activities? Perhaps someone just mentioned one or two activities. Driving? Driving, yes. Driving is a good practice if it is not too many cars lah. It's not a good practice if you practice and then you get into an accident. So yes, driving can be a practice. So actually for driving, right, practice during traffic jam is very good. Traffic jam, very good. Why? Because not so dangerous. Because very slow, right? If you really want to practice, it's good. Then you can feel the steering wheel. Then you can see what's going on in the mind, right? Like what we did, right? What's going on, right? So steering wheel, how you drive, and so on. Okay, one more example. Yeah. Wow, so many. Okay, brushing your teeth and what's that? I heard from there someone. Sitting on, yes, absolutely, right? So traveling is good. Brushing teeth is good. So many ways of practicing in daily life. And we have many more moments in daily life than we have on the cushion. Okay, so this is a huge opportunity to do all the practices. So even listening to a talk is a practice. So I give you an example, right? So, I kind of figured out, right, when you go to a Dhamma talk, right, you can listen to it in 2 or 3 ways, right? One way is you listen and then you kind of just extract the information from it. Factual, right? What are the 7 factors of this, that, right? What are the 4 satipatthana's? Then the information goes in. So that's one way of listening. So you're listening to get info, right? Then another way of listening to a talk, right, is you hear the talk and then you see what's going on inside and you see what's your response. You say, oh yeah, actually, yeah, it's true. That's happening to me, and that becomes useful to you, right? So that's another way. Okay, then there's another interesting. I don't know whether it's true, but I guess I'll share with you. It's called the vibe and awe listening to Dhamma talk. So sometimes maybe there's like a very famous teacher, right? Then it's like, okay, whatever he's saying, it's not, it's like wow, that kind of thing. So many ways you can listen to a Dhamma talk. So maybe for the rest of this talk, right, for the rest of this session, right, use this as a practice. See what's going on for you. See how you are listening to this talk, right? And then we can just have a chat about it later on if you want. Okay, so practice, huh? Okay, next. So this is a brief outline of what I thought maybe I wanted to share with you about. So we've gone through a bit of what I do. We've gone through a bit of mindfulness practices and examples of daily mindfulness practices, including Dhamma talk, practice of listening to a talk. Okay. So actually, what happened to me is I broke my leg recently, lah. I don't intend for this to be a medical talk, but I thought the X-rays might be good to explain what the fracture is about. So if you see so this is the okay, never mind. You see the yellow arrow, right? And there's a small little crack over there at the long bone, okay? And so because of that, I had to have surgery done, and and then there's a process of recovery and so on and so forth. So how did I get this? How did I get this injury? I got it in a motorcycle accident. It's not so dramatic, right? It's not like a crash in a expressway and then cars. Or not so dramatic. So actually, it happened in Malaysia. Actually, yeah. So just give you a bit of background. So actually, I haven't been riding bikes for a long time. I used to ride, and then for the last 2 years or so, I sold off my bike. My wife wasn't happy about it, and so okay, I gave up riding for a short time. Then my friend said, hey, Nick, tomorrow what are you doing? Nothing much, right? Okay, come, let's go. So in Malaysia, there is this place where you can rent the motorbike. You don't need anything, just rent the bike. They give you all the gear, helmet, protection, everything you could get. Okay, so say, okay, good, great, let's go. Then this one, in fact, they ride in the rubber plantations, right? So it's quite safe because no cars, but challenging because the terrain is challenging, right? Because it's slippery and all that. And first time on a dirt bike, right? So okay, I go. Then wow, quite shook, huh? Quite shook, quite shook. Then the instructor, hey, not bad, huh? Quite good, huh? Then I start to get proud already. Then okay, then do right. Then okay, then go slow. Then okay, then we do like figure eight. You know what's figure eight, right? So you like curve like this. So it's like you're doing like this, go around. Then she faster, okay, faster. Shh. Then wow, then fall down already lah. Sorry. So okay, so first lesson to learn is pride. Pride. Pride and overconfidence. Pride and overconfidence. Okay. Okay, so fall already, then of course got pain lah, right? Fracture sure painful, right? So the first lesson or the first thing that I thought we should discuss is about pain lah, or because pain is common during many illnesses, right? And then how do we then practice with pain? Okay, so I'm not an expert in suttas. So I did research, then I dug this up. Okay, it's called the Salata Sutta, the sutta for the two arrows. I think you must have heard about this. It's quite famous and quite commonly discussed. Okay, so the long and short of it is this. When the sutta describes a situation where a person is hit with an arrow, when you're hit with an arrow, of course there's pain, right? There is damage to the tissues and so on. But there's also a second arrow that afflicts the person. Okay, so what is this second arrow? It is mental distress, right? So not only do you suffer physical pain from the injuries, but there's also mental suffering. Okay, so the so-called uninstructed disciple will suffer these two forms of sufferings. Okay, and so what happens then is they use, okay, so I've used this translation I pulled off from the internet, and what the word they use is resistance obsession. That means you actually resist the pain. It's unpleasant, right? And because of that, it builds up, right? So, and then you start thinking and start lamenting. The word they use, lament, right? Wow, this is happening to me. It's terrible, right? And that builds up and builds up and builds up. And then that becomes really hard to bear, maybe even more than the pain itself, right? So this is the two types of suffering. And after that builds up, right, then the uninstructed disciple finds a way out, which is to distract himself. So I interpret it as that, because they say it's a passion obsession. So there you have it. So actually, it's not, to me, it's not so bad a thing, right? In this way, distraction is one way to deal with pain, right? So when children come to the hospital or to the A&E, right? Then they have something or some procedure. Then they show this, right? So that's to take away their attention of the object of pain. And then people can do things. Okay, so distraction is one way of dealing with this thing. All right, but the downside is if you stick onto this, then now pain is an opportunity to learn. I mean, it's very ideal, right? But it's like that. So when one is kind of distracted by it, then you do not get the chance to kind of gain wisdom from the pain. Okay, so that's why they also say about ignorance obsession. Ignorance obsession. All right? So then because you are kind of stuck in the distraction, you don't get the clarity and you don't able to process the pain and so on. So this is the simple sutta that I try and understand, and I think it's relevant to how we interpret it today. Once again, if I must say I'm not an expert here, but this is my interpretation of it. So if there are any mistakes, and please tell me, right? But from this, I feel like from this thing, I feel it is actually, if you extend this further, right? This idea about pain, all that have been discussed is physical pain, which is very relevant for disease and illness, right? Disease and illness, right? So patients will have injuries like me, we have pain and so on. But actually, I think it is also, if you extend it further, you can apply it to different types of suffering. So pain may not be just physical, it can be emotional pain as well. Let's say boyfriend, girlfriend, breakup, right? Pain, right? Heart pain. Then if you are an instructed disciple, then you realize, oh, okay, that's heart pain, that's from the breakup, and then that's it. But if you are uninstructed, then the second arrow hits from the emotional pain, right? And then you start telling stories and so on and so forth. Okay, so that doesn't work out so well. So I think just my 2 cents worth, that actually if you look at this, it informs us not just about physical pain, but extending to different types of pain. Yeah. Okay, give me a minute. So far, any questions? And so I actually like this to be informal. If anyone wants to say anything, right, just put up your hand and then we can have a discussion. Because I'm not one to have too many things to say. So I just quite curious, right? So how pain as a object of meditation, a lot of the teachers will say it's good, but have you all used it in a way to practice? Who has used pain to practice as an object of meditation? Sometimes. So how would you use it? What do you practice when you use pain? In what circumstances?
For me, I would watch it when my leg becomes numb, and then after you move it, right? Wow, the pain, it's the bad, the pins and needles. So I watch that. Then of course, other periods of pain like headaches, that sort of thing. That is constant. There is time for you to watch. So like a headache, there is some time. There's a time frame for you to watch. So like, for instance, like say shoulder pain, it's not there all the time, so you can't really watch it, unless you move it in that way. But say for headache, it's there for a time frame, you can watch it, or the pins and needles, I can watch that. So that's how I do it.
So absolutely right. So I think one of when discussing pain and how to work with pain, we can actually watch the pain, the different characteristics of the pain, like where's the pain, how intense is it coming and going, where does it go, is there any other thing associated with the pain? So this is kind of like paying attention to the pain during actually a formal practice, a sitting, and so on and so forth. But so the thing that I always get and hear, right, is that, hey, look, this is so painful, I can't even practice, right? So then what do you do? Then don't use it. Take some Panadol first. Yeah. It's good, really. So there's no point, right? Because if you want to use pain as object for practice, but instead it is making your mind go wild and so on, then it's not very conducive, lah. That's not very conducive, right? So then the smart thing to do, or the wise thing to do, is to find some way to reduce it first, right? And then maybe if your mind is a bit more settled, then you can observe the pain properly again. Right? So this is the common question that I usually get. Okay. Okay, so after the fracture, right, then there's surgery and so on. Actually, pain wasn't that big an issue for me lah. After the surgery, actually quite okay, right? But you could not, of course, practice the way I used to always practice, right? So that's why I wanted you all to have a taste of how it feels like to be different, right? Because after the surgery, there's like a cast and so on, right? So I cannot sit like that, right? But you can use that as a practice, right? You can notice, how does it feel different, right? So I had to sit maybe one leg in front, right? And then the other leg bent. And even sitting sometimes also not very good. So if sitting no good, then what do? Lie down lah. Oh, so this is one practical way of the practicing during. So actually this is important to kind of know, because there will come a time when we cannot sit properly like this to practice, right? So how then do you do it, right? That becomes the new norm. The new norm, okay? And so it means that we should not be too attached to the way we always practice. Be prepared for change. Be prepared for change. Actually, today, already there are two instances where, it hits me that, okay, nothing stays constant. Nothing stays to plan one. So, okay, today I'm supposed to give a talk, right? Then I think, okay, come here, 10 o'clock, have breakfast, then, no, have breakfast first, then come here, then give the talk, and so on. But it doesn't happen because 7 a.m., I got to go and see a patient, right? So things change, right? Things change. And then I understand that, there's also had been some changes here as well, because someone's relative was sick, and so arrangements has to be done, right? So nothing can go according to plan one, right? And if that's the case, right, then even sitting practice cannot go to plan. Cannot go to plan. Yes. Yes, please. Yeah. You want a scientific explanation or the mystical explanation or the... Yeah. Okay, so I will head into uncharted territory. So I think one way to explain it is the biological way, okay? So let's say if you sit with pain and so on, the body can adapt, right? The body is a physical structure, but it's a dynamic structure, right? It's not fixed, right? So your body is alive, it changes, it adapts to whatever you're doing, right? So maybe that's one explanation. Then there's another possible explanation is that, okay, pain is complex, right? Pain is not just pain from the body. The mind or the brain actually regulates the pain, so they interact, right? So the other way maybe also so this is speculation, I must say speculation, and right, is that maybe at some point in time the mind relaxes because you say pain, 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 right? At first there's obviously resistance, right? Obsession, resistance, whatever you call it, because it's so unpleasant, right? So you resist. But if you resist, guess what? It's going to be worse, right? Because sometimes when you hit something hard, the thing deflects, right? So it may be that at some point in time during the practice over time, 2 days, 3 days, whatever, right? Maybe there's a shift, right? And then the body relaxes, the mind relaxes, and then the pain becomes bearable or goes away. I'm just, what do you think? What do you think? Yeah. 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 So whatever it is, I think if the practice works, right, that's great, right? Then just go for it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's that. Oh, you did it. Why didn't go back? Okay, lah, okay, yeah. Okay, lah. Anyway, practicing with pain, that's a very interesting example. Thank you. Yeah, it's great. It's great. No, okay, then no pain, then choose some other object. More enjoyable object, yes. Easier to watch the first arrow, which is pain or the actual suffering, or the second arrow. Interesting. So actually, I was going to put that as the next thing, right? Because usually from the first arrow, then the second arrow develops, right? When you say when the second arrow develops, that's when things go. The mind talks itself, it builds a story, and so on and so forth, right? And then it goes in circles. There's one way it can happen. Was there a particular way or particular example that you are thinking about? Intellectual question, okay. So you can choose. So I give you intellectual reply. Practical one, okay, can. So it depends. The practical ones, it depends. All right, you will see the situation. If the pain is not too severe, then it's easy to observe it, right? So for example, let's say ant bite, that one can be observed, and it's quite safe, unless you got allergies to ants. Right? It's quite safe, right? So you can observe that one, right? Then you talk about ants, then mosquito bite also can. Oh, it's not pain, but it's itch, which is also suffering. Itch is also suffering, right? So you can observe that. So remember in the earlier meditation, I said, okay, so just watch and then see your response to it. The response is the second part. That's the second arrow, right? So if you say, I want to get rid of this pain, so watch that. So as a rule, for most people starting out, then physical is easier to watch. Physical is easier to watch. Because the mental and the thoughts, they are a bit more subtle, right? And so, and if you watch that, there's also, and if someone is just starting out, if you watch the thoughts coming in, you could get carried away by thoughts as well, right? So maybe for someone starting out, the physical, but of course it's not impossible to watch the responses to it, right? And so there can be many things that are responding to it, right? So it's the story you build, which leads me to, actually I wanted to tell you this also. So as a result of my fracture, right, then okay, show you this one. Okay, so the fracture is at the bone at the ankle there, right? So when you, it's not very nice. Okay, so imagine this is the foot, right? So this is like the fracture area, right? Then this part shouldn't have any issue, right? Right? Because all the x-rays are fine, right? Okay, the x-ray is actually okay. Right? So this part shouldn't have any pain, right? So during the initial part of my injury, before we had the proper x-rays done, right? Then, my front very pain. Then I was extremely convinced that there was a fracture there. Right? So, I kind of like, okay, I think the doctors made a mistake. I'm sure there's a fracture there. Until they took the x-ray. and still a bit unconvinced. So that is actually the second arrow already, right? And actually, if you use it to, okay, in my case, I'm not so solid practitioner lah, but after the fact, right, then you realize, oh yo, wow, when that time before they X-ray everything, that is my reality lor. It's really like really I think really got fracture, right? So it's the stories you tell yourself that really creates your own suffering and your reality, right? So so that's the story of the two arrows again. Yeah. I hope that helps. Anything else before I search for the next thing to say? Okay, so we talk about modified practice, right? Because as we said, once where's Wiki? Let me know if time is running short. Okay, so as we spoke about briefly just now, we can't expect practice to be the same all the time. We can't sit the same way all the time. We can't be here all the time. At some point in time, we may even become disabled, right? Permanently, not just temporary like me, but permanently, right? We could have a stroke, right? And then maybe you no way you can sit like this anymore. Maybe at best you can sit on a wheelchair, right? Maybe that will be a new way you can practice, or you have to practice that way, or lie down. Okay, so things change. So one of the things that changed for me, and I have to adapt during my recovery, is the using crutches. So you cannot do walking meditation, right? So you do crutching meditation. How do you do that? I don't have my crutches, but essentially it's body sensations. You feel the crutches there. You feel pressure, stand. When standing, you can still meditate the same way. It can be mindfully standing. And then you stand, feel, and then forward. One step. Then up, right? Then one more step. Then mindfully do crutch walking. Then you walk to the other side. Then rest. Then turn, mindfully turn a bit, stand again, and then go crutching again. And then you will realize how then maybe different ways of using crutches. Very interesting things to see. So instead of walking meditation, then we use crutches as a meditation. So have to adapt, right? So the key word is adapting. Okay. So during my illness, then actually, because I mentioned that I travel a lot to see patients, right? Because I do home care, right? So I have to drive, and that's why when someone mentioned driving as a meditation, I love it. Because I have to drive around, then when I have a broken leg, there's no way I can drive, right? So I have to go around using Grab to see patients. Right, and so when I use Grab to see patients, the drivers are all very kind. Say, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" They come out, want to help me take my crutches. So the next way I practice during my illness, right, is actually not so much about formal meditation and mindfulness and all that. It's about practicing in the community, right? Practicing with people. In other words, it's like experiencing how people can be kind to you, kindness, right? And then how you realize that, actually, I don't see this every day, but now they have an illness, actually it's out there, right? So kindness. So another example is, so we have friends from Malaysia today. I think in Malaysia, you don't have to put back dishes after you eat, right? Don't need, right? In Singapore, you have to. Remember, So if you're on crutches, right? How are you gonna take the thing, right? So how I practice with that is like this. Okay, so when you buy food from the store, right? From the hawker or what, actually you're supposed to take it yourself, but I cannot. because crutches. So once again, people are very kind. They take for me, right? So after you eat, then how to take it back? If I don't take it back, I'll get fined, you know. No, lah, but but yeah, once again, people are kind enough to help. You say, hey, it's okay, just leave it there. Just leave it there, right? And then practice by, okay, don't think so much about the fine. That's just some, useless mental chatter that doesn't necessarily need to be there. Okay. So apart from the crutches, right, then I also have to use a wheelchair lah, because I cannot walk so far, right? I can walk, say, from here to the room, to the end of the room and so on. I cannot walk from my house to the supermarket, for example. So then what happens is my wife will push me in a wheelchair. So I get experience firsthand of what it's like to sit in a wheelchair being pushed around. So I don't know whether you have this experience of our elders. Some of them refuse to sit in a wheelchair, right? They say, hey, makes me feel like handicapped. People look at me. So I had the first-hand experience. It really feels like that. So now I understand. Yeah. So it is true, like it's true. And so, but then after a while, this kind of gives way and goes away. It goes away, right? Then you kind of get used to it, and okay lah, yeah, just push lah. Never mind, release, right? Then get me thinking. Actually, why is it so important for us to have this sense of independence? It's all about independence, right? Wheelchair lah, crutches, all that is independence. Maybe it's got to do with our sense of ego and self, right? Because it's me, right? I do this myself. So it's actually, if you can't do it, then maybe it's a good time to watch that and see if that can be let go of a bit. Yeah. So that's another interesting practice. I think that's kind of very, very briefly. That's that actually. Not much more to tell. Does anyone have any questions or comments or whatever?
Thank you, Dr. Choo. I think that was very cute and practical. Can we say sadhu 3 times? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I have a joke actually. It's a bad joke. But do you know why in Singapore we have fine dining? It's because if you don't put your tray back, you get fined. Okay, bad joke. Okay, I invite the floor for questions. Dr. Choo is a home care practitioner, and we have a real need for that in Singapore. If you got any questions, also please do ask.
Yes. So I broke the leg in November. So it's about 3 months, and after that, it's more or less okay. Yeah, thank you.
Good morning. Yeah. So thank you very much, Dr. Choo, for your sharing. So my question is, so just now you mentioned that a lot of adaptability that you had to make you adapted, right? Like you used to walk, and then after that you're on crutches, and then you're on wheelchair. But so then you adapted to it, right? So you don't hold on to the past belief that I must walk, I must whatever, right? So you got to give that out, and then you adapt it, and then you kind of like on a wheelchair. But but in the context of people who's not going to recover, like what you mentioned, the disability could be forever, right? Someone who used to be very active, and then suddenly now they are permanently either bedbound or on a wheelchair. So I'm also hearing a little bit of like an acceptance. Other than adaptability is also the acceptance of the situation, but that doesn't mean that it's not painful, right? So just now the brother talked about like, I'm not going to go back to 𝐾𝐫 because it's so painful and I want to avoid the pain. So then how do we use pain as a form of practice? Yeah.
So, wow, that's quite deep, actually. So your question is that actually there can be situations where the pain or the disabilities and illnesses don't go away.
Yeah, so there are
Right.
two parts to the question.
Yeah.
So for someone, when the disability or the suffering becomes permanent, how do you basically, how do you basically manage that? Yeah.
So they say there are two types of situations, right? There's one type of situation where you can do something about, and there's another type of situation where you really cannot do anything about. And you mentioned it actually. You mentioned about letting go and acceptance, right? So that kind of attitude is theoretically that's the way, one of the ways to go around it. Of course, if someone has a disability, you first of all do whatever you can to minimize the impact of the disability, right? You will send for rehab. You will buy whatever assistive devices you can to help with the care and so on. It's not like, okay, disabled, okay, forget it, then that's it. It's not like that, right? So we still need to do what we need to do to the extent that you can. Beyond that, then actually, it's quite hard to force this person to say, okay, accept. You cannot like that, right? But what we can do is to provide this patient or this person with an attitude of love and kindness, lah. Right? You say, okay, yeah, I understand this, right? So, but it's okay, we just take it step by step. Just kind of just go with the patient, giving encouragement and so on. You can't, unless this patient has been practicing and has kind of an idea of what we are talking about, it will be hard to talk to them in these terms, lah. So I think the easiest way is still to show them kindness and compassion in whichever way you can, lah. Yeah, so and hopefully at some point in time they ease off from that. But there's also, I think, an element of getting used to, in a sense. At some point in time, maybe we also kind of live with an illness, and that becomes part of every day, that it doesn't quite bother you. I can't say I have lived through this experience, but I gather that this also happens. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Choo. Actually, it can be an extension to just now the sister question. I just want to hear more about your personal encounter with your patients. And then some of your patients are living with pain, and then some of them are living with illness, and some of this illness are terminal. Therefore, as a practicing Buddhist, and then some more you are a doctor in this position, actually it's a very special opportunity. You come very close to pain, which it can be very intense, and death, which Buddha's teaching can help a lot. So in face of such great pain, because pain is very difficult to deal with, because it will invoke fear, and then after that is the death, especially for those with a very serious illness. So as a practicing Buddhist and a doctor, what would you think we can do to prep for this? Yeah.
To prep for this. Okay. So actually, by asking that question that's a very good way to prep, because means you're aware of it, right? So reflecting on the inevitability of death. It will happen. I don't know when it will happen, and that gives us the energy and kind of impetus to want to practice. All right, so I think normally there are all these reflections on death and illness, and so that's a very good way to practice, to give you energy. Okay, so this is number one. Second thing is, of course, whatever formal practice you're doing, whatever kinds of meditation you're doing, that is very useful as well. Okay, so at the end, I think, well, who can predict, right? I mean, I can be so calm and cool right now, right? I can be so tranquil right now, right? I can experience all the joy and whatever now. But who knows what will happen on my deathbed? I don't know. Maybe I'll lose all my cool, right? Maybe I'll panic. But So, but I think if all that arises, maybe the best thing that we can kind of come away from it as a practitioner point of view, right, is okay, that is something that arises, let's just watch it. Right? I don't want to cling on to the idea that I'll be calm and cool on my deathbed. Right? It's this, it happens because of reason, and that's it. Right? So that's kind of how I think I would try and do it for myself. You know, a long time ago, right? So when talk about pain, right? Then one of the things that we always manage is, or rather use, is like opioids, morphine, the kind of thing for patients in terminal illness. Some in the past, a lot of patients was, or some patients who are Buddhist belief, right? They say, I don't want this, because it will make me very blur, right? It will make me drowsy. And I want to be very alert when things happen. Yeah, can, right? But if you have that second arrow hitting you, and if you are kind of thinking, and that causes your mind to go crazy, right? Then maybe a skillful amount of opioids maybe is okay. In fact, that may be wise, right? So what I'm trying to say is the technical aspects, right, also is important at this point of time, or it shouldn't be kind of overlooked also. Yeah, so I think just kind of these few comments on it.
Hi, Dr. Choo. I had a similar question about are you encountering practitioners who are going into maybe dementia or Parkinson's disease, and can you see that their practice is helping them, and how it is helping them, how their practice is helping them cope with that? Because I guess as a doctor and as a Buddhist, you cannot advise people to go into Buddhism, right? You cannot do that.
Yeah.
But if you encounter practitioners, can you see that it is helping them, and how? Maybe can you share that?
Oh, so you're asking how it is like for practitioners who have had dementia and Parkinson's and so on.
Yes.
So unfortunately, the patients that I see, I actually sometimes I don't ask them. These questions. But I mean in general, okay, some patients with dementia, let's just take an example. I think what you have built up to that moment stays with you, right? So you know, dementia, right? There are those who are very happy, and they can be very forgetful, but they're very happy, right? They can be very stress-free, very happy. Then there are those who can, who like bite people, they spit at you, they pinch you, and so on, right? And so what I understand from these families is that actually this is a reflection of their character, right? So if they have been quite a nice person throughout, quite stress-free, you know, then when they get dementia, they're also happy, right? So although I think if you apply this principle to Buddhist practice or meditation, then I think you will see similar effects as well. Yeah, so I hope that helps to answer your question.
Thank you. Any more questions? I think if there are no more questions, then can we say sadhu again 3 times for the fantastic question answer? Thank you, Dr. Choo.
Sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.